In the early 2000s, Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu, the Sephardic chief rabbi of Israel, received an official invitation from the President of France, Jacques Chirac, to visit his country. Mr. Chirac, before ascending to the office of president in 1995, had previously served 2 terms as prime minister, and nearly 20 years as the mayor of Paris. Throughout his career, he was known as a hardline, pro-Arab leader who constantly pushed Israel to cede territories to the Palestinians, thus bringing French-Israeli relations to an all-time low. Rabbi Eliyahu, on the other hand, was a very outspoken individual with little patience for the formalities that are the essence of French culture. So the members of the Israeli embassy were understandably very tense and apprehensive that the rabbi might say or do something that would make things even worse than they already were. However, when the rabbi arrived, they soon calmed down. His outgoing and friendly demeanor put everyone at ease, and it seemed obvious to the embassy staff that the meeting would be nothing other than formalities and smiles. But they were wrong. For instance, on the first leg of the official tour, when they visited the French National Museum, the rabbi demonstrated what seemed to be a shameful ignorance and insensitivity to French heritage. When he was shown the throne of Napoleon, he asked if it was for sale, and, if so, for how much? And how long ago did Napoleon live? Then, when shown one of the rooms of King Louis XIV, he asked if this king was a moral person, which caused everyone to blush, and even laugh behind the rabbi's back. The tour guide explained that the chair of Napoleon was of great historical and national importance and was certainly not for sale. And regarding King Louis, although he was not known to be a particularly moral person, nevertheless, France is proud of him as part of their heritage. Afterward, they returned to the office of the president for an official ceremony where, after many introductions and formalities, Rabbi Eliyahu was invited to say a few words that would be simultaneously translated into French. Rabbi Eliyahu began by describing in detail his tour of the museum, and his questions that caused everyone to laugh. Rabbi Eliyahu continued, "In my visit to the museum, I learned that Napoleon's chair was not for sale because of its historical importance. And that of King Louis, although not a man of pure character, is nevertheless revered and honored as a French hero. I noticed that you expected me to honor these men also, and were surprised when I did not do so, even though I am not French and do not live in France. If so, my dear friends, I ask the same from you. We Jews also have our founders, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But, not of 200 or 300 years ago and of questionable character like yours, but of 3,000 and 4,000 years ago and of impeccable integrity and selflessness. Is it too much to ask that just as you expect us to respect your founders and kings, so you should in turn respect ours? For instance, over 3,000 years ago Moses brought us to the Promised Land, and some 400 years afterward, our King David and King Solomon secured the city of Jerusalem. That is our history. Does it not make simple sense that just as you expect us to honor your heritage, so you should honor ours? If the chair of Napoleon is not for sale, then how can you expect us to sell parts of Israel and Jerusalem?" The members of the Israeli embassy were in panic. This was exactly what they were afraid of. In the moment of silence that followed, they were certain that Chirac would simply storm out of the room in a fury. But they were in for a big surprise. All of the French officials present, including the president himself, stood and applauded. Then Chirac warmly shook the rabbi's hand, and immediately called one of his assistants and whispered something in his ear. The man left the room hurriedly and returned in just seconds with a small velvet box. Chirac asked for silence and announced, "This medallion is usually reserved for visiting heads of state. But I have never heard anyone speak such clever words like these. They so impressed me that I am presenting this to you." And when he finished speaking, the crowd gave the rabbi another standing ovation.